In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give Him praise and thanks for His goodness and His mercy to the human family. The greatest of God's mercies to us is that He sends to us His guidance through the mouth of His prophets and messengers. We thank Him for Moses and the Torah. We thank Him for Jesus and the Gospel. We thank Him for Muhammad and the Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Allah. As a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I could never thank Allah enough for His intervention in the affairs of the black man and woman of America, in raising up among us one to lead, teach, and guide us to the straight path of God, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. It's wonderful to be back in Miami again. And I thank you. I thank all of you for your prayers that you sent up on my behalf, that I might recover from a near-death experience, to come back and soldier a little harder, work a little longer for the liberation of our people and for all those who are oppressed on our planet. Words are inadequate to express my gratitude to each of you who prayed for me, and my gratitude to those of you who have come out tonight to hear what we have to say. My thanks to the leadership of Miami, Minister Rasul Muhammad and his staff, but tonight I want to talk to us about family. Allah says in the Quran that He created us into tribes and families that we may know one another and parenthetically not despise or hate one another. That parenthetical part is not the actual words of Allah, but those who translate the Quran from Arabic to English believe and want us to know that Allah's aim in creating us into tribes and families is that we may know one another, but not grow to despise each other. Some of you have animals in your home as pets. Some of you have dogs that are black. Some of you have dogs that are white. Some of you have dogs that are white with a black spot on the dog. And I don't see you with bleach trying to get that black spot off of your white dog. You admire the beauty of your dog. Some of you have fox terriers Some of you have pit bulls, some may have Great Danes or German Shepherds. These are different species of dogs, and you're not troubled by that. You're not troubled by the different colors of roses or the different colors of flowers, because you understand the beauty of God in His creation, that He created hues and colors. We're not troubled by the colors of our earth. We have black earth. We have brown earth. We have red clay earth. We have sand of various hues. We're not disturbed by that. In fact, some of us love to go to a beach where the sand is pink or the sand is white, and I've even seen some black sand. We look out at the planets, and each planet shows up a different color. The color of the planet Earth shows up blue. The color of the planet Mars shows up red. We're not bothered by that. And we go out and we pick up stones. And some of us wear stones. Some of us have our birthstone, which may be amethyst, or which may be emerald or ruby or diamond. And we marvel at the beauty of God in nature, that He makes hues and colors, and we're not troubled by that. But we seem to have a problem with the differences in the colors and the kinds of human beings that grace our planet. Why is that? Why should we not be disturbed by colors in the insects and the birds and the beasts and the fowl and the fish and the rocks? But we're disturbed by our colors. That says that we are ill and we need medicine to cure our illness. It's not a crime to be sick. It's a crime not to know that you're sick. And then after you find that you are ill, it is insanity not to seek medical help. The world and its people are sick because a philosophy of life prevails on the earth, and it has poisoned humanity to the point where human beings are potential human beings, but humanity lives on the plane of the beasts of the field. We created you into tribes and families, that you may know one another and not hate one another. Well, what is it that caused the Hutu and the Tutsi, who are black people, to go on with this carnage that took the lives of over 1 million people? And the UN admits that it was slow in stepping in to stop such carnage. What is it among Croats and Serbs and Albanians and people of Bosnia, Herzegovina, where people of white skin but of different ethnicity, are now involved in something called ethnic cleansing, where we want to clean the earth of a certain ethnic group because of historical hatreds and differences. What is it? That in Europe there was a 30-year war and a 100-year war and a World War I and World War II, which caused the loss of life of tens of millions of Europeans. The British don't like the French, and the French and the Germans can't get along, and the Italians and maybe the people of Austria or Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, all of these hatreds existing on our planet. In Nigeria right now, many ethnic groups, many tribal groups, many different religious groups, but hatred existing, so that Muslims and Christians are killing each other. And in Northern Ireland, it's Protestants and Catholics, and it goes on and on and on our planet. But yet Allah says, I created you into tribes and families that you may know one another. Well, what do you know about one another? What do white people know about black people? And what do black people know about white people? That now there's hatred and tension between us. What do we know of the Native Americans? What do the Native Americans know of us? That there's tension not even among us and them, but tension among the tribes that make up Native America. What is it about the tribes of Central and South America that there's a try at unity, but it's not there yet? What is it that we know about one another that makes us hate rather than love? You know, the Bible teaches that God created the man on the 5th day. Those of you who are Bible students, He created the heavens, the earth. You know how it began. He says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light. And there was light, and He separated the light from the darkness, and one part He called day, and the other part He called night. And after He did all of this, He said, this is good, this is good. And everything that He did, He said, this is good, this is good. Then on the 6th day, according to the Bible, He said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, and give them dominion over the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and every creeping thing that crawls upon the earth. But He stopped short. He didn't say, this is good. What was it when He got to the man that He didn't say, this is good? But we know that man is good because he's created in the image and the likeness of God, and God is good. So man has to be good, even though man is not being good or manifesting good. Ultimately, man will be good. So God didn't, He reserved comment. It was very wise. In the Holy Quran, it says it a little differently, but it's very beautiful the way it is said. In the second chapter or surah of the Quran, Allah is talking to the angels, and he said, I am going to place a ruler in the earth. And the angels said to Allah, yeah, but what will you place in it? Other than that will create mischief and cause the shedding of blood. And Allah answered the angels and said, I know what you know not. I know he's going to be a mischief maker. I know he's going to shed blood. But I can see beyond that. I know what you know not. Well, if the human being, according to the Quranic view, is created by Allah to stand in the place of God, then there is great potential in the human being to reflect God. And if only we would reflect God, then we could say he created us into tribes and families that we may know one another and not despise one another, because what we really know of each other is that he created the human being in the nature of himself. Man. Go ahead. What is the nature of God? Come on. Allah says in the Quran, set your face for religion being upright, the nature made by Allah in which he has created man. He has created the man to be upright. This is why you crawl just a little while. Study your own evolution and see how magnificent God is in his ability to cause us to evolve and make stage after stage until we reach our perfection. We started as sperm mixed with ovum. That's a heck of a beginning, you know. That's right. No eyes, no ears, no brain. But intelligence was there in the sperm. In the head of the sperm had to have intelligence. Yeah. They knew what to do, knew where to go, knew what it was looking for, and it had to move quick because the environment was hostile. Well, God is not wasteful. According to Scripture, he's not prodigal. He wastes nothing. So why should a man release 1 billion sperm or more or less, but only one can do the job? But what happens to the rest of them fellas? They all wanted to get to the goal, but the race is not to the swift. It's to the one that can endure the hostile environment and get to the goal. And evidently that one was you, because here you is. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the rest of the sperm become food for the new life, so nothing is wasted. Then the Quran says that sperm mixed with ovum is looking for a firm resting place, because the nature of the organism is to flush out this strange life within it. So if it doesn't find a firm resting place, it will be aborted. So it grows little tentacles like, and it fastens itself in the walls of the uterus and holds on tight. And that's the way life is. You got to find something secure and hold on tight. Otherwise, you don't make it. Now just think of you swimming in a bag of waters like a fish. Eyes haven't developed, you know, ears haven't developed, but you're in a bag of waters, and this bag of waters is protecting you and creating an environment for you to grow. God is great. There is no equal to God in his magnificence. Would you agree? Now here we are in a bag of waters, and there's what is called the umbilical cord, and it is filtering what mama is eating. Now mama may not be so conscious of diet, and our ignorance is killing our future mothers. The umbilical cord does the best it can, the placenta, if you will, to filter out the madness. But there's mom. There's mom. Give me a drink. There's mom eating the wrong foods. There's mom in ignorance sentencing a newborn, a new life to death even before it is born. Anyone that denies a woman education, anyone that denies a woman cultivation is an enemy of the progress of human beings. Education Education, as I will say in just a few minutes, is not a privilege. My people, the Bible says, are destroyed for the lack of money. What does it say? The lack of what? Well, if we are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, why aren't we busy acquiring knowledge so we can avoid the things that are destroying us as a people, destroying our community, and destroying society as a whole? I'm saying all of this to show that we are formed, we evolve, we come into the world lying on a horizontal level. The baby cries because it's in a new environment and it is insecure. All life must be made secure. No matter how long you live on this earth, whether you are 1 day old or 100 years old, we all need to be made secure. So when we say that Islam is the religion of peace, Allah is the abode of peace, the author of peace, and a Muslim is one who surrenders his will to do the will of God and is at peace. Well, what makes you at peace? It is because when you surrender your will to the will of God, surrendering your will to his will grants you security. And in that security, there is peace. The baby cries. The cry of the baby is its first prayer. And the prophet said, and I cried out unto the Lord. How did he do it? He didn't say, He said, Ya Allah, oh Lord, oh Jesus. That's your cry. But when you first came from your mother's womb, you cried because you were insecure, you were unsafe, you felt in a strange environment, you were not at peace. So when you cried, they not only knew you were alive, they knew you had a need that had to be sufficed. So they washed the baby off with warm water that is like the water of the womb. And they wrapped the baby in a garment that would warm it in this environment, and then they brought it to the mother and placed it on the warmth of your breast. And the cries stopped. The baby was at peace because the new life was secure. And then, Mom, God already had supplied food for the new life. It was in your breast. But the breast had to be exercised in order for the milk to come in that would nurture this beautiful new life. And you didn't have to teach the baby. Now, baby, it's in 3 steps. You do this. And baby knew exactly what to do. And that's why when you put it there, it started pulling right away. That's right. And sometimes it got fierce because nothing was coming out. Paul says, come on now. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Every child is born into the world with faith. That is the gift of God. You don't call it Christianity, you don't call it Islam, you don't call it by a name. It's Iman, it is faith. How do you know the baby has faith? Because when you put it on that breast, faith is the substance of things hoped for. If it wasn't hoping, it wouldn't be pulling. The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen, but it kept on pulling until faith was rewarded with milk.
Go ahead. Beautiful, beautiful. Teach.
Faith is the base of existence. Yeah. Without faith, you can't pull on a universe created to serve you. The universe is the giant mammary gland or tit of God. Yeah. I'm not being vulgar. But just as when you were a baby, you knew how to pull on the breast to extract milk, now you're a grown man and woman living under a bridge.
Come on, Brother Minister.
Homeless.
Yes.
A derelict.
Right.
A bum. Looking for a handout. Waiting for a welfare check.
Talk to us.
Because you have lost faith.
Yes, sir.
If you only knew how to translate the sucking principle, which you've learned pretty well, Excuse me. Let's go back. If you could translate that principle into the action of drawing on the universe to supply needs, all your needs are here. All your needs are here to fulfill your needs, your desires, but you got to learn how to pull on the universe and not beg somebody else to give you what nature is already here to supply. I have never seen a blackbird
Go ahead.
waiting around the nest of Big Bird. You got any worms today? I had a little problem, you know what I mean? And if you just give me a little worm or two, you know what I'm saying? That don't happen in nature. Everything in nature has to do something for itself. And we are the greatest of God's creation. We are considered in Bible and Quran the glory of God. I don't care how beautiful the sun is, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the lakes, the rivers. They don't equal the human being. The sun can't think. The sun can't say this morning, I don't think I'm gonna shine today.
That's right. Teach, Brother Minister.
Some dudes down there that think they want me to warm them, but I'm gonna freeze them today. The sun can't act like that. Neither the moon nor the stars. Everything in nature is fixed to obey the law under which it was created. But God has so much respect and love for the human being. He gives us, as the only creature in creation, free will that we can choose to obey, or we can choose to disobey. That's a big responsibility put on the human being. But look at how respectful God is of us. You know, I don't know if you straighten your hair or something like that, but if you go and buy the perm, you know, I don't know what it's called, I don't know what the brands are, but you know what y'all do. Getting a perm. Now you look at the bottle or the can or the jar that the perm comes in, and there are directions. And of course, if you speak English, they have directions in English, but down here in Miami, they better have it in Spanish too. But when you pick up your jar, if you want a perm, you read. Put it in. Make sure your hair is clean and dry. And when you put it in, do not leave in too long. Now, you don't have to follow the directions, you know.
That's right.
You have free will. But check out your head after a while. Free will got your head in trouble. You're bald now. Some of us use dye, you know. You don't like the gray. Take the gray out. 5 minutes. Okay, but there's some directions there. Everything that they make They give you directions how to use a product to get the most out of it. What about this? Since you and I are not the author of life, should not he who is the author of life and the giver of life give us directions
Yes, sir.
on how to live life?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you follow this, you'll come out okay.
Yes, sir.
And we say, oh, look, God, I got this. Well, this is the result. I created you into tribes and families, and look at the mess you are in. What happened to you, man? What happened to you, woman? Well, I tell you the truth, I didn't know your directions for life. I see what you're saying. And most of you, when you talk, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Because you want people to understand what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? But when God gives you life and then gives you instructions on how to live life, he could say, you know what I'm saying? And then you act like, huh? What are you saying? I don't speak Spanish.
Good teaching, Brother Minister. Good teaching.
So now your life is all messed up because you didn't want to take instructions.
Right.
But you're going to read the perm bottle. You're going to read the dye bottle. Read the recipe for this and that, but won't read the recipe for life. And as a result, the earth is in turmoil and the human family behaves like the lower animals. Some of us resemble snakes. I better take a little water on that one. Some of us resemble snakes. And the Bible, Paul talking, he said the poison of asps is under their tongues. Some of us are liars, schemers. We slip in and out like snakes, making a crooked path. Some of us are like beasts of prey, not P-R-A-Y, but P-R-E-Y. Anything that looks weak, you pounce on it, destroy it, because it appears weak to you. Some of us are like predators, you know, stalking the female. And some females are the same predators stalking the male. But he's married, who cares? But she's married, and that man is your brother. Who cares? You just got lucky and married that fine woman. We have become so immoral that our immorality produces hatred. You say, well, what is the origin of hate? What is the origin of hate? Since hatred exists all over the planet, what is the origin of it? Now, you know, it's sad if I am white and I hate something that is not white. Well, what is the reason for that? If you ask a white person that hates black people, hey, what's your reason for that? I don't know. I just hate niggas, that's it. Now that's somebody that's very sick. Very, 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 very sick. That's an unnatural hatred. That's hatred that's not produced by a cause of injury or harm, but that is hatred produced by just being what God created you to be. Oh, that's some kind of sickness there. Wait a minute now. I got to deal with natural hatred. Natural hatred comes from unwillingness to perform duty. Boy, you may not understand that in the nature of the man, we have a duty to perform. We come into this world obligated to the Creator. We're obligated. And it's a natural obligation that every one of you know you have. You can't feign ignorance on this one.
No, sir.
You don't pray. You don't worship God. You don't even think about Him until you get in big trouble. When you get in big trouble, now you've learned already how to pray. You're facing the police on a dark street, 1 a.m. in the morning, and you got a little crack in your pocket.
They know that prayer.
Then you learn how to pray quick. Lord. And I mean, that's the most sincere prayer that you could utter, is that one that you pray when you're in deep trouble. Lord. And check your words. If you just get me out of this one time, I promise you, I'm going to do what? I'm going to do what? I'm going to serve you for the rest of my days. It's in your nature to serve your Creator, because He who gave you life, He who brought you into existence, He who supplied all our needs for our existence is worthy of our acknowledgement of Him, our prayers to Him, and our setting up of no rival or no partner with Him.
That's right.
He deserves this.
That's right.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And evidently we know it, because when we get in trouble, we know how to talk. But the Holy Quran says the moment He gets you out of it, it ain't too many minutes after you free out of jail now. The woman whose pocketbook you snatched couldn't identify you. Then you say, thank you, Lord, but it's back to business as usual. What is my point? My point is that you know by nature that you are obligated to serve God. But there's a duty in the male by the female, and there's a duty in the nature of the female by the male. When we get married, even though we are not knowledgeable, there's something we expect from the partner. And it's this disappointment in our expectations that starts argument. And after argument, we begin to lose the love for one another, and we break apart. And sometimes when we break apart with hate. Huh? He gambled away the money. left me at home with the children. I didn't have no money. He's down in the Bahamas, gambling away the rent money. Now, right away, she's insecure. Because if you don't pay the rent, she knows she's going to be out of doors with her children. You're not thinking like that, but she is. So when you come home, what is her mouth for? She cries out, "Ah, look." That's her prayer, you know. "Ah, where the money? I can't pay no rent. Phone about to be cut off. Children got no diapers. Is you crazy, man? Look, woman, I know what I'm doing. You don't tell me what to do. I'm the man in the house. And if you open your mouth one more time," she's saying, "what you gonna do?" And before you know it, he's living in your mouth like a dentist, and you grab the butcher knife in the kitchen. Now he's the turkey that you carving, and the hospital is filled up on the weekend.
Go ahead.
With domestic violence, domestic abuse, because we don't want to follow God's guidance and direction for life. You know, when we were brought to America, it was the aim of our captors to destroy in us a sense of family. When God created Adam and Eve, he instituted marriage. He did it. So if God instituted marriage, there is no marriage without God.
Come on.
Right. That's right.
There can be no union that evolves and develops and stays together without God.
Right.
Since he's the author of the male and the female and the institution of marriage, he's very hard on those things that interfere with marriage and break up family. So the harshest laws that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai was fornication, death, adultery, death, man dressing up in a woman's clothes, death, woman dressing up in a man's clothes, death, child striking at your parent, death. He didn't play because God wanted to make a nation that would reflect good that the first dysfunctional family had messed up in Eden because they disobeyed. And that disobedience keeps coming up in all the tribes, all the families, all the nations, so that now the whole human family is at odds with each other. The Chinese on one side having trouble with Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea, North Vietnam, South Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, boy, India on the Chinese side of the border, thinking, oh, I got to watch out for the Chinese. So China developed an atomic weapon, India developed one. But then there's Pakistan on the other side, and Pakistan said, I ain't gonna let India get an atomic bomb, I'm gonna get one too. So now you got a potential for madness in Asia. I created you into tribes and families that you may know one another. parenthetically and not despise one another. But what we know of each other is so bad till our hearts are filled with bitterness and pain and hatred. When white folk took us from Africa, you must remember that we are the only ones that didn't come here seeking a new way of life. We didn't come here for that. We didn't come here when the Statue of Liberty was there saying, "Give me your tired, your poor." You had already worked the hell out of us for a couple of 100 years, and we were tired and we were poor. Give me your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Send them, the homeless. We had a home. Tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. This was no golden door for black people. There was no lamp of freedom lifted up for black people. We came here in the holds of ships. And from day one, they decided, our captors, since they had fought us as Muslims during the Crusades, they did not want any Islam in the Western Hemisphere. So when the Muslims would pray, they said they cannot allow this prayer. So they separated the children from the parents so that the parents could never teach the children the culture of Africa, the religion of Africa, the history of Africa, the language of Africa, the customs and culture of Africa. So they reared us away from ourselves, children taken from their mothers, taken from their fathers. A motherless child sees a hard time. No more family life for you.
No, sir.
Dogs don't marry, but dogs show greater respect for the female than those of us who are supposedly intelligent human beings. No marriage for you, black man and woman. Well, what do I do about this natural inclination to the male if I am a female, and a natural inclination to the female if I'm a male? What do I do about that? Well, I'll use you as a stud horse, and you come up here and you have sex with Sadie, then you have sex with Lucindy, and you have sex with Shanae, and you have sex with Chiquita. And all I want is babies that I can grow up to be good slaves. I will not allow you to marry, which is the first institution that God created. I will not allow you family, which is what God gave to us as human beings as the nurturing ground for the fostering of moral and spiritual values. We were not allowed family life. Do you know that without love, we cannot grow emotionally and psychologically secure? Do you know that? Do you know that love is not just a human need, but love is a human right? It is my right to be loved. But I grew up in an environment where to be black is to be a slave, is to be rejected, is to be despised. Where will I find love? that I need to feel secure in a relationship with a mother, with a father, with brothers and sisters. Where will I find this? And to deny us as a people of this for 300 years. What effect did this have on us psychologically, emotionally, developmentally? We were stunted in our growth. And our slave master wanted to be God to us. So he denied us access to the Lord of creation. We had to call him Master.
That's right.
And he provided food and little clothing to hide our shame and a shack to live in. But we had to work from can't see morning to can't see night for no pay. And if we rebelled, we were made an example of. Imagine you as a female with no rights over your own body. Think about females today talking about the right of choice. I have the right of choice. I have the right to choose. But no black woman had the right to choose the man that she would give herself to. The slave master was the one who wanted to deflower every young black girl. No black man could have a virgin. That was the white man's gift. And he took away our virginity. And then if he wanted us, we had to surrender to him or pay a hell of a price. They use little babies to warm their feet at night. Put them at the foot of the bed so that their foot could be on a black child, that their foot could be made warm on a cold winter's night, to deprive a whole people of love and of validation and of respect and of the attention that we need and want from our parents. We were deprived of that. 300 years later, they said we could be Christians and slaves at the same time. But we had to worship in the fields. And they would monitor what Rev said. And Rev, you had to preach from a certain part of the Bible.
That's right.
Don't preach nothing about God's justice. Preach Paul, mass slave, obey your master.
Yes, sir.
Preach Jesus. If they smack you on one cheek, be sure now, turn the other. Bless them that curse you. Love them that hate you. Pray for those that despitefully use you. And if they ask for your pants, give them your cloak also. So you were making a people to serve whatever the will was of the slave master. And then they fought a war. When South Carolina seceded over the question of slavery. We want our niggas. We don't want to free no slaves. let's secede from the Union. We're not going to let them interfere with our way of life.
Come on now.
The North said, we don't care nothing about freeing the slaves. We just want to keep the Union intact.
Yeah.
And if freeing the slaves will keep the Union intact, then we're here for the Union, not for the slaves.
Yes, sir.
So blacks were brought into the Union Army. Blacks were brought into the Southern Army. Negroes, we's threatened. Our way of life is threatened, Negroes. Take up arms and fight the North. So here we were on the side of the North. Here we were on the side of the South. North and South don't give a damn about you and me, but we were being used. Let's think about that. Is this painful? Wait. See, as a white person, sometimes you don't know why black people act the way they act. And you see us in our savage condition, and you could never respect us in this condition as an equal, but you don't know what your white ancestors did to put us in this condition. I'm not trying to teach hatred. That's not my aim.
That's right.
But my aim is to make all of us aware of what happened to us as a people, because if you don't know what happened, you have no idea of how to get out of the predicament. Yeah. And right now, you got the right to vote, and you're still in the predicament. Is that right? You have money, but you're still in the predicament. You driving a Cadillac, a Mercedes Benz, even a Rolls Royce, but you're still in the predicament. You have not yet built family life. You have not yet built successful married life. Your children are in disarray. So don't talk to me about your PhD. A PhD means nothing with your people in the condition that your people are in. And your wealth means nothing if you're a wealthy nigger that has no value in the society.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, teach.
So when Abraham Lincoln, quote unquote, freed us, we understood then our need for family.
Yes, we did.
We didn't really know what to do when they said freedom. We said, freedom? What I'm supposed to do now? I mean, think of the confusion in the head of a slave. Somebody wrote on a piece of paper, "You free," but he didn't give you nothing to go on. He didn't guide you. He didn't develop you. He didn't cleanse you from the stench of slavery to make you able to go for yourself. He just said you was free. So all then you could do was go back to your master and say, well, master, I don't know what this freedom thing is, but can I stay on the plantation and work a little bit for you? And where are you right now? You're still on the same damn plantation. You call it a job. But it ain't nothing but a glorified plantation with the same old house nigger, field nigger mentality working on that plantation. Our brothers from Central America and South America have seen the light of the lamp of freedom, and they've come to America. Our brothers and sisters from Haiti have seen the lamp of freedom and have come to America to take advantage of things that we who have lived here for hundreds of years are not taking advantage of. And they look at us and say, what's wrong with these people? The Haitians in America, in Miami, have a certain part of Florida, a little Haiti.
That's right.
They have banks. They have economic enterprise.
That's right.
And they're beginning to take advantage of their presence in America, even though they're black and not loved. But their unity as a Haitian people allows them to do as a minority what the blacks as a minority have not been able to do. Our brothers from Mexico, from Puerto Rico, from Guatemala, from Costa Rica, from the Dominican Republic, they come, they know, they speak Spanish. And they're different hues from white all the way to black, but they know I got to take advantage of what America offers.
That's right.
So they're busy doing something constructive. Those that are not gainfully employed get some employment. We'll deal with the drugs. Boy, this is some stuff here. Then they pit
Come on now.
the black and the Latino against each other. They pit the Mexican and the black, the Cuban and the black. So you living in Miami, I created you into tribes and families, that you may know one another and not despise one another. But look at the hatred that is existing. Now you are arrested and put in prison, and there's Latino gangs and black gangs and white gangs, and you prey on one another rather than pray for one another in the terrible condition under which we live as human beings. Now I want you to follow me, and I'm almost finished. Okay? After 140 years up from slavery, our population began to increase tremendously. And 25 years ago, I was speaking in New Orleans at a conference of black social workers. And I read in the newspaper that the black birth rate was such that if blacks continued to have babies at the rate we were having them, by the year 2053, 53 years from now, we would be equal to or the majority population in America. He said at the same time, whites had zero population growth. meaning that for every white child that was born, a white person died. So that meant that their population was getting older and older, thus great power. But we had a greater youth population, fighting age and working age. Black birth rate was such that if blacks continued to have babies at the rate we were having them, by the year 2053, 53 years from now, we would be equal to or the majority population in America. He said at the same time, whites had zero population growth, meaning that for every white child that was born, a white person died. So that meant that their population was getting older and older, thus great power. But we had a greater youth population, fighting age and working age, but no jobs. Boy, think about this conspiracy now.
Sir.
Pharaoh saw the children of Israel multiplying. He said, let's deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, join an enemy, and come against us. So let's kill the male and spare the female. Let's see what's happening now.
Teach hard. Teach.
The new Pharaoh, Uncle Sam, the new Pharaoh says to the black male, I want you. Be all that you can never be in the society, but you can be it in the U.S. Army. Brother said, yeah, man, the babes like uniform. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So here we are, 18, 19, joining the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps for gainful employment, because they promise you now you can get a college education, and now they're even giving you a little money. And you know how bad you need money. So this is an inducement to join an army, so that the army is filled with the black, the brown, and the poor white. Few Native Americans, few Arabs, few Asians, but the majority in that army is black and brown and poor white. Okay, now let's look at this. What do you all know about foreign policy? Let's talk about it. You don't know geography, so if I call off a country, you can't even tell me where it is even. Tell me something. What do you know about Saddam Hussein, the boogeyman? Well, you understand? You understand? See? You understand? See? Yeah, we see you don't understand. What do you know about Muammar Gaddafi, the boogeyman? What do you know about Kim Il-sung on Kim Dae-jung, North Korea? What do you know about them? Nothing. What do you really know about Fidel? What do you really know? Nothing. Nothing. You know what they tell you. Who controls the Miami Herald? Who controls the New York Times, the Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, Los Angeles Times? It ain't you. It's not the Hispanic brother, the La Raza brother. You ain't controlling that. How many television stations you own, brother? -0. Nothing. So they make Japan an enemy 1 minute, make Japan a friend the next. They make Germany the enemy 1 minute, Germany's our friend the next. They make Iraq our friend when Iraq was fighting Iran. Now that war's over, Saddam Hussein, Saddam, you gotta go. What do you know about foreign policy? They say it's not right for an American citizen to get involved in foreign policy. Wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Whatever happened to the vision of the founding fathers? Let's look at this a little further. President Clinton speaks. Ain't even a blip on Wall Street. Mr. Greenspan of the Federal Reserve speaks. Who is he? I thought I need some money. Now, you know, this ain't your money. This ain't your face. I wish I had a $100 bill. Give me 100. Good to have a rich son with you. Praise the Lord. Now this money is printed in Washington by the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is not owned by the government. It's private owned. It's printing your money. Ain't that something?
Yes, sir.
But the Constitution says nobody should coin or mint money but the government. What happened? Some smart dudes got together in 1913 and passed the Federal Reserve Act, and private bankers took control of the printing of the money and the notes as the instruments of exchange in the country. And in the same year, 1913, the IRS was formed.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In the country, been in existence since 1776. Almost 200 years later, they start taxing you through the IRS. In the same year, 1913, the FBI was formed.
Yeah. You own it.
Is there any connection In the same year that the Federal Reserve was formed,
Teach.
America's debt was 800 million. In 1917, they had an election. And the president said, we will stay out of the war. But when he got elected, the first thing he did was send the troops into war. And when you go to war, you got to have money to turn the munitions or the factories into producing the ordnance for war. By 1918, the debt of America had gone now into the billions. You borrowed money, you owe money. Then there was World War II. The police action in Korea. The war in Vietnam. America borrowing money. He didn't borrow none from you that you knew about. Now the country is $6 trillion in debt. And practically everything that comes in income tax is paying debt service, but not reducing the principal. So your future is in hock. So when they started borrowing money, they had to have a way to pay the money back. So the IRS becomes the dog that is on your case. You can't make $1, the IRS got to take some. Oh man, this tax system is a hell of a thing. You can never own your house.
Teach that. Teach.
Never own it. Because even after you pay it off, if you miss paying the taxes, they take it back from you and sell it on the market. You a damn slave. Black man, brown man, white man. You don't have no country. The country has been taken from you. You don't have a country. You don't have democracy. Your country has been skillfully taken. And you, who are the real power in the country, they got you so messed up in your head that they keep your head between your legs. And they're taking the whole country from you while you shaking your behind and dancing and partying and getting on down and smoking your crack and sipping your wine and having a good time. You're losing the country. Now I want you to listen to what I'm saying, because I'm not a radical and I'm not a nut.
That's right.
The reason they hate Farrakhan is not because I'm a hater, not because I'm anti-Semitic, not because I'm anti-white, because I know the truth that will set you free. It's one thing to know the truth. It's another thing to have the courage to speak the truth. I am in love with you, and love casteth out fear. I want to live like anybody. But to live in a world where human beings got to live like this, if I can't change it, help to change it, it is better that I not be here. Now let's look at the game. I am 67 years old. And Allah did not want me to die because I yet have some work to do. You are so important to the future of this nation. And I want to live to help you see your value as human beings. Please bear with me. They're talking now about campaign finance reform. Another trick. Because the real truth is that the big corporations of America have spent in the last few years over $1 billion each year through their lobbyists in Congress to get legislation passed that is in the interest of corporate America, but not necessarily in the interest of the American people. Whenever special interests become so powerful that they control your representatives, then representative government is no longer a reality. You're living under a subtle, sinister kind of dictatorship. But they're too smart to give you orders. Let me show you how it works. When I was a young boy, I went to a segregated school in Roxbury, Massachusetts. By the time I was in the 8th grade, at 11 and 12 years of age, I knew every country on this earth. I knew the capital of every country. I knew what all the countries produced. They call that geography.
Yes, sir.
I had history. I had English. I had mathematics. When I went to an integrated high school, I started with algebra, then plane geometry, then solid geometry, then calculus and trigonometry in high school. I started with ancient history, medieval history, modern history in high school. I had 3 years of Latin, 2 years of German, 1 year of French, and 1 year of Spanish in high school. I had biology. I had physics. I had chemistry in high school. When I left high school, I went to college in the South. I never bought a book at no time, because what I already knew got me through all my college courses, and I could get an A when I wanted to. Did you hear me? I had nothing but black children in grammar school, but all of them knew how to read. What's happening today? Ain't got a telescope out in space, seeing stars millions of light years away, and can't teach you how to read. You getting out of high school now, 30% of you are functional illiterates reading at a 5th and 6th grade educational level. Talk to me about education. And Bush talking about I'm the education man. Clinton saying I want to be the education president. Stop BSing the people. They don't want you educated. It's a purposeful dumbing down of the American people. I was in show business, and my parents being from the Caribbean, I was a very good calypso singer, dancer, along with playing the violin. But the violin, you know, don't make no money. So I was on this national TV show with my Roomba clothes, open shirt, tight-fitting pants, with my little shack. And I'm singing calypso and dancing, and you know, in the West Indies, when we dance and we twine in a little, you know. So the old boy was there singing and twining away. And the cameras said, oh God, keep the cameras on him from here up, because he's too suggestive from there down. This was in the 50s. 40 years later, I can turn on my TV and see a woman with a thong and all her behind outer doors, her breasts hanging out. She not only twining and grinding. This is TV. Talk to me. You a good mother? You want to teach your children moral values? How much time do you have in today's economic circumstances to teach your children moral values? How much time? How much time? Ain't got too much. Ask Reverend, Imam, Sheikh, Mullah, Cardinal, priest, how much time you have to teach your people the understanding of Quran or Bible. You talk on Friday at Juma, you talk on Sunday, and you may have a Wednesday Bible class, very ill-attended. You may have tafsir in the mosque on Sunday, very weak in attendance. But every day, that television is going 24/7. They're taken out of your children and mine whatever values you think you put in. They're gone. 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 You and I, after slavery, had a sense of family because that's what we were denied. In a slave plantation or sharecropping house, there was a mommy, there was a daddy, and there was Shanae, Shaquita, and Sam Jr. And when Daddy Sam went out to hunt some coon or possum or rabbit or something for the pot at night, Mama was there with her babies, giving them chores and teaching them values. There wasn't no radio then. There wasn't no TV then. There wasn't a telephone then. They just had one another. Daddy coming home now, it's evening time, and he could smell the biscuits in the oven as Dad was walking up to the house. And when he came in and brought the coon and the possum or the rabbit, they did the cooking. They sat together as a family, and nobody put a morsel in their mouth without prayer. You had more family values coming out of slavery than you got right now. Do you know why you don't have family now? Because as long as you got family, Satan's chances of taking over your house are a little more difficult. Boy, I want you to think about this now. Young men, you ain't got no time for the old man. I don't want to hear nothing the old cat got to say to me. What he know? What he know? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But in Africa, and in the old native tradition of the Native Americans, you always venerated your elders because they have lived life, they have run this course, and they were best qualified to show you how to avoid the mistakes that they had made. Now, when you say, I don't want to hear nothing the old man got to say, then who becomes your teacher? See? Now, Mom and Dad, you got a chance now to work 2 jobs. You got a chance to get things. Aren't you happy? How many cars you got? What kind of suit you wearing? What kind of jewelry you got? You're happy over things. Your children are at home. They need discipline. But you are bringing children into the world and you have no rules, no regulations to govern your home. So if they don't learn to respect rules and regulations in the home, then you send them off to school to get rid of them. Right. So the poor teachers, they can't teach because the disciplinary problems are so great. The imparting of knowledge is less and less. Now you got police in the schools with their guns and vests. Got to go in, you know, through a metal detector. And a 6-year-old coming to school with a gun, killing another 6-year-old. This is the condition. I ain't finished. No discipline in the home, no discipline in the school. And Reverend, Father, Imam, ain't no discipline in the church, in the mosque, no discipline in the synagogue, no discipline in the cathedral. People can do what they want to do in the church as long as they bring the money. In the mosque, we don't care nothing about the lifestyle of the believer. Just come to Juma, pay your zakat, make your prayers. That's bad business. If I've departed from the natural way as a man, and I'm looking at another man with lust as I ought to look and view the female, but I'm a pastor now. I'm a pastor. And I'm living a life that God calls an abomination. And nobody speaks against the immorality and the vice and the corruption of the people, because the corruption is now in the church, in the highest orders of spiritual wickedness. We lead in freakishness. God damn, boy. It's a hell of a life, man.
Teach us, Brother Minister.
So your children, you can't get them in no church. They hate preachers because they see preachers as pimps, hustling their mothers, hustling their fathers in the name of Jesus. See, Jesus become a good name. It's business. It ain't got nothing to do with moral reform. Preaching Jesus is a business. Preaching Muhammad is a business. Using God is a business. It's kind of bad. Now homosexuality is spreading. Lesbianism spreading. I don't blame no female. Allah don't mention in the Quran lesbianism. He mentions males coming to males, doing something that men had never done before. But it's our failure as men that send women in this kind of direction. We use women. We play with women. We have no compassion for women. So a woman finds more joy in being with another woman that feels her pain. I mean, it's a hell of a life.
Yes, sir.
We've been sentenced to. Being a homosexual, you can't build a family like that. That's not family life, Adam and Steve. Bessie and Liz. Don't be angry with me. I love you. But it's our lifestyle that somebody has to talk to us about.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was born this way. I really have been a female all my life. Inside of this man's body was just trying to get out, you know? I'm not making mockery, man. You know, I love our brothers and I love our sisters. In the lifestyle that you're living, I love you as a brother and a sister. But I have to speak out of love for what Allah condemns that interferes with successful family life. Listen, those of you who are Muslims, you know that there are attributes, characteristics of Allah, the names of God. They have female and male sides to many of these attributes. If the man is Rashad, the sister is Rashida, a guide. If the man is Hakim, sister is Hakima. If the man is Halim, the sister is Halima. There are feminine characteristics in God.
Yeah.
Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Beneficence. This powerful characteristic of doing good. Rahman. This powerful characteristic of compassion and mercy. It's a feminine characteristic. A man should not feel bad because he has feminine characteristics. Brother, that's the way God fixed this thing. She got masculine characteristics as well as feminine. You got feminine as well as masculine. It's just that you are male biologically. Wait a minute now. So if I am aesthetically inclined, I'm tender, soft in a sense, but I'm a man. Don't try to make no punk out of me. Listen to what I'm saying. Just work with me in my tenderness. Because perhaps I'm going to be an artist. The people that are the most sensitive are the most artistic. So maybe I'm a ballet dancer. Don't make no punk out of me. I'm going to dance, but hell, my motion can't be. I'm just a man dancing. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I know brothers that have these beautiful feminine qualities and they're so ashamed of them, they have to overdo their macho. Just start fights and then go home and cry about it. Look at Venus and Serena. Venus and Serena are magnificent examples of feminine beauty with strength. They ain't men, but hell, they sure make a man look bad. Tiger. Look at Tiger. I don't think Tiger has the muscular development as Venus.
He's decent. He works out.
But I haven't seen his muscles, you know, with them jackets and Nike shirts and stuff on. But naturally, he's developed. My point is, there's a certain softness about the brother. Wait a minute. No, don't. Don't misread me. He's wholesome as a man. But he ain't trying to be no Charles Atlas, you know what I mean? Sometimes brothers that are homosexuals want to lift pianos. To show that I'm strong, you know. You don't have to undo what God has given you. Learn to work with it.
That's right.
Don't be ashamed of it. You don't have to go to any extreme, but sometimes when a man see a young man, we just in a freak kind of world. You got to watch your boy babies like you watch your girl babies around uncles and cousins and big brothers and friends of the family. Don't you sleep on nobody today.
That's right.
That's the kind of sick world we live in. All right, I think I should tie this up because I'm stepping on some toes. But beloved family, listen. This is all in the family. And we got to find a way to correct what is in the family and become a strong family again. Right now, they are using chemical and biological warfare in the destruction of the black and the brown. The biological warfare is AIDS, and the chemical warfare is crack cocaine. They're building prisons because they know they're going to be filled with the black and the brown. And now, sisters, there are more black and brown women in prison than ever before. I taught at a prison recently to about 1,000 women on Mother's Day, and I asked them, how many of you are mothers? 90% of them raised their hands. Who's rearing their children? The enemy is taking our babies one more time, separating the children from the consciousness of the parents. And I say to you all in my conclusion, when we go after things as though things are more important than the values that we put into our children, and there's no discipline in the home, and there's no love in the home, the children go out of the home and they find what is missing in the home in the gangs. There is no gang where there is not love. And there is no gang where there is not discipline. Each gang has its rules. Is that right? Each gang member feels the love of their fellow gang members. That's why you can't break it up with your silly talk. Don't join a gang. You know how stupid you sound. Because your children laugh at your feeble talk. Don't join a gang. And the children say, well, hell, man, if I had a family in the house, if I had a mom and a dad that showed me the love that my nature calls for, if I had brothers and sisters that we weren't fighting all the time, man, and you judge between me and my brothers and sisters with justice so that my house could be the fostering ground of values. When I went out and joined the brothers in what you call a gang, I would never disrespect my home because my home is where I got my training. But now you're not training them. Television and the gangs are training them. So now they got guns because they believe the gun is a means of power. It's a means of protection. So the enemy comes and gives you guns. And nobody teaching you how to shoot now. Is give you the gun. And then if you want to show the gang that you are down, you drive by and you shoot indiscriminately at people that never did you nothing. Last night, 2 teenagers shot down on the streets of Miami. We have become a family that is self-destructive. And this is why, in my conclusion, I'm calling for a Million Family March. I'm not interested in a march, but I want to use the march to create a movement beyond the march. You will never change what's going on in America until we come together as a family and let nothing break us apart, then leverage that unity against the things that we want to see changed, then I guarantee you we can change it. Let me show you how. There's a program on TV that's funky and filthy. And there are sponsors that sponsor that. A Million Families United. We go to the corporate boss that sponsors the show. We don't like what is being put on TV. Well, you can't censor, we censor it. Don't tell me it's freedom of speech and you killing my babies with this filth. I'm telling you, as of today,
Come on now.
these Million Families, we will not buy your product until you pull that show or rewrite it and make it decent. Now, I'm giving you a week's notice. When we are together, we'll bring them to their knees, brother and sister. You are not powerless. You are powerful, but you are divided, and your division is what has sentenced us to death. We must unite. We must become a family again. We must see the value of our unity. Again, brothers, sisters, there's an embargo on Cuba. I don't believe it's just to punish people and deprive them of food and medicine simply because you don't like the leader of that country and his form of government. There's such a thing as self-determination. If the Cuban people don't want that, let the Cuban people overthrow that. But that's not for America to do. America should mind her business, because can't nobody come in America and tell Americans what to do and overthrow their leaders, try to kill their leaders. America needs to set an example. Who's gonna make us set that example? The people in Washington that thrive from the mismanagement of government? No, it's the people awakened. It's the people mobilized. It's the people organized. It's the people politicized that will make a difference. Your vote should not be taken for granted. You can't let a smiling white man come to you. I want to be your president. And you go for that. We developed an agenda that's in the interest of black people and brown people and poor people, that we ask government and the leaders of the parties, tell us what you think about this agenda. Because it ain't about more black and brown people getting big jobs in government and the masses of the people going backwards. It's about bringing the masses of the people forward and returning power into the hands of the people, not with a gun, but with knowledge. Knowledge is the power that will make the people the power that the founding fathers envisioned the people to be. The founding fathers wouldn't think about no black people, or no brown people, or no Native American people, or no Arabs, or no Asians. But hell, the founding fathers lived and died 200 years ago. This is a different America today, baby. And can't nobody tell us that this ain't ours. I'm sorry, I don't want to upset white people. But some of you just got here a few days ago. Your parents came from Europe a few days ago. Don't tell me that I got to go back to Africa. Africa is mine. That's right. But I work hard as hell, and this is mine too. We fought for this. We bled for this. We died for this. Let's take it back and make it what it should be. Take it. Can you dig it? Of course we can take it. You don't need guns. You got the right idea. It's the right time. The Bible said the kingdom of this world have become the kingdom of our God and of his Christ. You're supposed to take it over with Christ conscious people. And when Christ conscious people or God conscious people are in the Senate, in the state legislature, in the mayor's office, in the governor's office, in the White House, God has taken over the country. Then you don't have to talk about separation of church and state, because the state comes from God, and without God the state cannot exist. So you need God conscious people running government. I'm ready for this challenge. 3 weeks before the election, we'll be on the mall. God willing. October 16, 2000. We're asking the million men that came to the Million Man March, come back. Bring your wives. Bring your girlfriend. That is the mother of your children that you haven't yet accepted the responsibility for. Come on back to Washington. And we're gonna perform marriage. And all of us that are married will remarry, take our vows again with Almighty God Allah at the center of our marriage. And I would like 10,000 couples that want to marry with God at the center of their lives to begin family life in earnest again. I want you to come. It's going to be on a Monday. I didn't want it on a Saturday. I didn't want it on a Sunday. The party goers on Saturday and Sunday. Serious people come out on Monday because they got to make a sacrifice to be there. I mean, we're not going to school that day. School is out. We're not going to work that day. Work is out. We're not going to do nothing that day but hallow that day in worship of God and in coming together as a family. Yes, and if we can raise the level of consciousness of all the families that are present, I want the Christians to come under the cross. Carry your banner, because the Christian family must be a united family in order to produce change in America. No denominational differences and division, because Christ is one. He cannot be divided, so don't you divide yourself. All Christians come under the cross. All Muslims come under the crescent. All Jews and Hebrews come under the Star of David. All nationalists, black nationalists, African nationalists come under the red, the black, and the green. The La Raza Nation come under your colors. I'm inviting the gangs. Come under your colors. I'm inviting the Masons, the Shriners, the Elks, the Moose. Come under your colors. Now, Christians, there's no cross that is greater than the Christian. There's no crescent that is greater than the Muslim. And there's no Star of David that is greater than the Jews. And there's no red, black, and green greater than the black nationalist people under that flag. And there is no flag that is a symbol that is greater than what the symbol represents. We are greater than all our symbols. So if we let the symbols divide us, then we are truly foolish people. But if we on that day can elevate us beyond our symbols to the one God, and we begin to construct that tent spiritually that all of us can be under in comfort, then we have produced a family. I created you into tribes and families that you may know one another. I would love for us to get to know each other on a higher plane. Know me now as your brother. Know me as a brother that loves for you what I love for myself. Know me as a brother that will not do you harm from my lips or from my hands. Know me as a brother that will protect your home as I protect my home. Know me as your family. And let me know you as the same. And when we can do good by one another, that knowing one another will produce love for one another. And then tell me, will police brutality or racial profiling be anything that we should be concerned about? Because when we stop killing one another, no police gonna come into a community that loves each other and take our sister or our brother and start beating on them. They ain't got enough police. Do you hear me? Your unity stops all that foolishness. And your love for yourself and seeing each other as family will stop all of the madness. May Allah bless you, Miami. May Allah bless us. And if you can come to the Million Family March with the help of God, I want you to come. Bring your children and know that we have enemies that are planted among us, but I would advise any brother.
Come on now, say that.
Don't mess up that day. Don't take no gun out your pocket to start no foolishness that day. That's when you see another side of the family that you don't want to see. Because with our children and our wives there, we're not going to take no crap. We all going to be disciplined. We're going to be in order, or you die that day. Understand that. That's an order from God. If you mess up with the family that day, you will not see another day. We are a family. And we're going to put an end to the madness going on in the family. All of the men are the army of that family. All of the men are the army of God. Nobody will break our peace, even if they've been sent by the government to do that. They'll be wetting in their pants when they think about the consequences, and ain't no cracker gonna save you from us. Thank you for listening. May Allah bless you. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum, family.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Mrs. Carmichael, Kwame Toure's sister. We love you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you for a beautiful evening. Stay together as one family. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Mom.
Let us all, where we stand, if we would bow our heads and close our eyes. In fact, if you just hold the person's hand next to you, hold the person's hand next to you. I will say first in the Arabic language and then in English. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. I seek refuge in thee, Allah, from the accursed Satan. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise are due to thee, Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, thine aid we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Amen. Amen. Go in peace, family. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. That means God is the greatest. Dear family, tomorrow we have our mosque meeting on 5600 Northwest 7th Avenue, right here in Liberty City at 2 p.m. We look forward to seeing you with us tomorrow. The tape of tonight's lecture is available tonight. It's available right outside, being high-speed duplicated for those of you who would like to take the very powerful message of our beloved leader, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, home. Also, for all registered and processing members of the Nation of Islam traveling here from all around the state of Florida and the Caribbean, there's a very special believers meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. believers meeting at the mosque. Thank you so very much, dear family. Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead. Brothers and sisters, we remind you that tonight's tape has been high-speed duplicated and is available in the lobby as you exit. So tarry for a while, meet someone you never met, greet someone you haven't seen in a long time. Don't rush right out, but make sure you pick up tonight's copy of Minister Farrakhan's beautiful message this evening here in Miami. Also, the videotape messages of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan are available in the lobby as you exit the building. Make sure you pick up a